everyone, and welcome to the Sedona International Film Festival. I'm Carol Kahn. We are celebrating our 30th anniversary and also coming to you live from Yavapai College, who's one of our sponsors, along with Northern Arizona Healthcare, our hoteliers, restaurateurs, volunteers. We'd like to thank you for your support year after year for our film festival. We greatly appreciate it. And as Patrick Schweiss says, this is a filmmakers film festival. So I'm happy to introduce to you Graham and Craig with the film
The Cowboy and the Queen.
Cowboy and the Queen. So welcome to Sedona.
Thank
and
you.
Then this is your second time that
Yes.
you've been here.
Yes.
So, and you were here a couple years ago?
Yes.
With
3 years ago with They Who Surround Us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so what's it like coming back a second time
It's
around?
great. I mean, the first time we were here, we had heard this is one of the best festivals and what great care you take of the filmmakers, and we experienced that 100%. So I've been, ever since this film got in, I've been telling my partners, like, oh, you can't wait for Sedona. It's going to be so great.
It
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you go to the party last night?
No,
we just got here
Okay.
late in the day. So
All
we're
right.
kind
Well,
of-
it was a Grease party for the film Grease. And Patrick, so I don't even know if his hair is still black, but you may not recognize him,
Funny,
just in case.
funny.
But I didn't recognize him, and I've known Pat for like 8 years, so I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
It was a really good, really fun party. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk about the party. We're here to talk about your film. So you are the editor on the film, and then
Yes.
your role.
I wrote the score, composer.
Okay, awesome. And tell us a little bit about the film.
So it's a feature-length documentary about a horse trainer named Monty Roberts, and he's from California, born in the 30s, and kind of grew up as a rodeo star and actually a stunt rider. His dad forced him to be a stunt rider when he was a really young guy, and he saw this very kind of violent training method that was used everywhere and was traditionally used by all horsemen, where we all know the word, you break a horse until it accepts a rider. And given his kind of violent past, he wanted to go a different way and ended up developing a method that he witnessed from these other horses in the wild, how they communicated with each other, to where he could actually put a saddle on a horse in 20 minutes, without any violence. Whereas the traditional method was 6 weeks of essentially beating a horse. And nobody believed that he could really do it, and so he kind of kept it a secret, and then finally in the 80s opened it up to the public, and the whole horse world turned on him. And so but 2 articles were written, both of which made their way to Queen Elizabeth's desk, and she invited him out to Windsor Castle, not believing that it was real, and he convinced her, and they became best friends and had a 30-year relationship until her death. Yeah.
Oh wow! So that's why you said part of the film was shot in.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
he has a treasure trove of all of their old archival of his first meetings with the Queen, their demonstrations together, and it's really an incredible story about,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Did
their
you ever meet
relationship.
him? Did you meet him?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
He's
wasn't sure because you said archival footage.
No,
so I
no,
wasn't sure
yes,
if
no.
he still-
We were able to film with him over the course of 7 days, and he had like a container full of all of his archival. So we went through that with him, and he showed us everything. And then we were editing for about a year, and then we brought Craig in, and it all came together beautifully. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that interesting though when you meet people, like, because this is my thing. I always say everybody has a story, right? And you just like never even know what that is. But even though this guy had a story, when you start delving deeper and deeper, when you start finding like all these like really cool things, and then all of a sudden it's just like, wow, how did I get here?
Yeah, and his story is it's unbelievable. It's almost like Forrest Gump in a way. You can really plot at different milestones in his life. There were, he was affected by World War II in a very unique way, just as the Queen was affected. So the parallels between their life is remarkable.
Awesome. And we do have a clip, so let's take a look at the clip.
The traditional way of dealing with a horse is to break a horse. You break their spirit down until they don't fight back anymore. I believe that violence isn't the answer. Now he's happy.
Monty Roberts revolutionized horse training, taming horses using a silent language of kindness.
You would think that if Roberts made good on his method, people would flock to him like a modern-day Dr. Doolittle. But Roberts has his critics. For years, horse trainers either ignored Roberts or were openly hostile. But all of that changed when his work came to the attention of a lady who lived overseas and owned a few horses.
The Queen, she'd always been looking for a less violent way to train horses. And when she saw this, she said, "You have to take this to the world." She gave me the opportunity to prove it.
A best-selling novel called The Man Who Listens to Horses is number 4 on the Times bestseller list.
A horse whisperer.
An emotional day as the world says goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest reigning monarch. Thousands of guests gathered for the state funeral, including world leaders and a renowned horse trainer from Solvang, California, Monty Roberts.
I was thinking that horses are really intuitive. So it's interesting that that was the method that they used when
It internally, it was we were confused. I mean, not both faster and better for the animal, but we kind of came to the conclusion that maybe it's more like if someone suddenly told you that like walking a dog on a leash is inhumane. It's something that's so ingrained in kind of our society as this is the way that it's done. And so I think horse people are very proud and very particular about how they're supposed to train an animal. And so it definitely kind of blew the world open when he ultimately came out with his method.
So did you go riding?
No. I mean, we spent a lot of time at the ranch, but no, I did not ride. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever ridden before?
Years ago, yes. As a child, I spent some time in Sun Valley, Idaho, and horseback riding was this kind of daily thing that we could do. So I did it a lot. So I have a love for horses for sure.
I have a love for horses myself, and when I was in college, I went riding, and so I went to this one thing, and my horse was named Hurricane. I will never forget this as long as I live, because obviously I was a novice. I didn't know how to ride, and so the horse knows that, being intuitive.
Right.
And so I got on the horse, and I'm riding and stuff, and then all of a sudden he takes off, and it's that classic, the branch hanging down from the tree and the horse goes under that branch.
Yep.
Well, that's what happened. And so I'm backwards. I made it under the branch. Don't ask me how that happened. But then I slid off sideways. So I'm hanging on sideways. It's like this stunt film.
Slapstick, yeah.
And I'm like, please stop. And finally stops. And then I had to try to, and I had no clue what I was doing, readjust the saddle. And get him back on. Then I ended up falling off the horse. And that was not fun.
It was interesting working on the music in that, the film is titled The Cowboy and the Queen. And then we realized in early conversations that the third character in the film is the horse, or the horse spirit, So there's such a beautiful presence through the film of exactly what you're talking about the sort of magic and the mystery around horses and how purely they look at you and sort of how present they are. So to incorporate that into the score as sort of a third theme that ties the Cowboy and the Queen together as this thing that really unites them and their stories was really fun and interesting.
So in doing scores, how do you come about in putting the music that's so beautifully done, especially in this film, but how do you come up with that concept to make sure that it flows correctly?
I mean, typically, when I first get a film, I usually am brought in when it's pretty well along and has a, maybe not fine cut, but close to good rough cut. I just watch it multiple times, and then I put it away, and then over the next weeks, I just simply write everything that pops into my head and try to record a little version of it to create a little library of ideas. So I'll do that, send them to the filmmakers. They're like, am I on the right track here? Is this going to work? And then those themes become the artist colors that you put on the palette. I just sort of know, like, oh, this is Queen Elizabeth's theme, and I thought the instrumentation would be interesting to show their different worlds, you know. So we've got some fiddle, little guitar and stuff for Monty, and for the Queen. You know, I know it's very on the nose, but English horn sounds so beautiful for
Very
her.
successful.
And just a little bit of hits of timpani, you know, that sort of feel regal. So then the elements are there, and then as we go through, it's really talking about how do we use those themes in different ways in different places to unify them and weave through the story. So
I think there's
it's a
so
fun
there's so much
process.
of an artistry, especially in music, also in editing to that, and
Absolutely.
yeah. And I've been around some amazing editors, and then some not so good, you
Yeah.
know. But like, it really, editing tells a story, and putting it together, and even working with a photographer or cinematographer, the communication between the two has to be really, really essential.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, such a beautiful editor, Graham, and that makes my job so much easier because there's a flow and a rhythm to the scenes, and it's sort of, you know, composers always kind of look for the magic tempo that feels like it works the best with the pacing of that scene, and it was always easy to find
thank
your
Well, you delivered a couple of tracks early on
yeah.
that made it, that stayed in the movie,
Yes,
which were
yes,
great.
yeah.
So we
Yeah.
were able, we had, instead of having to just work with strictly temp, we had some beautiful music to start with from the beginning. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good team.
yes,
Yes, and
Really good
sadly
team.
our director Andrea Nevins couldn't be here today, but she's a beautiful filmmaker, and
Just come back
yes,
Yes.
to the next film
Yes.
festival.
we're here to celebrate for
Yeah.
her.
Good. Well, tell her she's missed. You can tell her she's missed.
You're missed, Andrea. We miss you.
Give her a shout out.
Yeah.
Next year, be here.
Yes, exactly.
Well, awesome. Well, how can people find out about your film?
So we have a lot of information on our website. We're doing a little bit of the festival circuit right now. So we're here tonight at 7, but sold out, and then also on Saturday at 10, also sold out. So maybe some tickets will, some people will give them back, and people will be able to sneak in. And then we're also in Boulder on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
And then we think we'll have a few more festivals here in the next couple of months that we're waiting to get announcements on. And then, so if you follow the website, you'll be able to see.
Oh, good, good. Well, I wish you the best of luck with your
Thank
film.
Thank you.
Thank you again for being here, and
Thank
it's
you.
so nice to see you. And looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to say about the film.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And don't forget that we are on Facebook Live, so you can see all the interviews throughout the day. Also, if you're out and about and taking photos, don't forget to use the hashtag SIFF30 in honor of our 30th anniversary. And so we will be back with more filmmaker interviews.